Today I'm sitting down with Doug Moorcroft. He's a good friend of mine, a firefighter, and now the co-founder of Hose Pros. So we're going to tap into his story and listen to his story as a firefighter, going from before when I worked with him in bathroom and kitchen remodeling.
The good old days.
The good old days. So you initially had transitioned from bathroom and kitchen remodeling, is where I met you. I was doing the demo dirty work in high school.
Yeah, I had to break your heart and say, okay, you're better than this, Cade. Remember that?
I wasn't cut out for
the
demo.
look on your face, man. It was like the first time someone said, hey, you should probably do something else. And I don't mean it in a bad way, you know.
Yeah. You know,
I
I learned a lot doing the bathroom and kitchen remodeling with you, though. That like Schluter and all those systems. Like now when I go into a house, I look at it differently. So I'm glad that I did that. But when I was in college and you were still doing that business, I was surprised when you transitioned out of the bathroom and kitchen remodeling business into firefighting. My understanding was that you were looking for more freedom in schedule and time with family. What was your transition like from bathroom and kitchen remodeling? And you had a good business too. It was top notch. That's why it was surprising for me to see you do that. But what made you transition into looking to be a firefighter?
So what made me even start considering it is, for me, there were a lot of things, it was something I wanted to do when I was younger, but I sort of forgot about it because I started this business up, and it started similar to when I saw you when you're 17. It was almost like I started a business and started learning how to make money as survival, right? And the firefighter thing, I applied, it didn't work out. I was 19. And then once I started my construction business, I was like, oh, wow, this is cool too. I really like this. And I didn't really look back. And then, around the time that I met you, you were starting where I had sort of started out, right? Figuring out I can not only survive, but I can thrive. Well, when I started the remodeling business, it was handyman, then I went into remodeling. It was going super, super well. It was going really, really good. But my idea of success really changed, and my mind was being transformed because I did it for 13 years before I got out. So I did it for a while, and I didn't get bored with it. I was super excited. The business was going really, really well, but it was I was right on the cusp of meeting my the younger Doug's version of success, which was, compete with the guys who've been doing it longer. Establish yourself in the community, have a good brand, have good guys working for you, and, also make good money and be able to provide for your family. And I was there.
Was that around the time where I was working with you? Was that
so you were there when I was still trying to figure some stuff out, but I think at that point I was, because I had one or two other employees who were more full-time. And so I was learning to delegate still, but I was getting much better at it. And then probably, I think a couple years after that, I was really in a groove. I had 4 young guys. I figured out what I wanted to look like. I had younger guys, not old crusty construction worker guys. I had these young guys who were well-spoken. Maybe they didn't know the trade, but I would teach it to them like I was trying to do for you. And I would mentor them, and that's something that brought me a lot of satisfaction. And we had this thing that was sort of rare because it was owner operated. People trusted me, and they trusted my guys because they were guys of good character. And I taught them. I got to mentor them, and we got really good at what we were doing. And we were just rolling. We had a setup to where we were doing 2 remodels at a time, and we were doing master bathrooms, and we were making good money, and everyone was enjoying their job. And then I had to go mess it up because this dream that I forgot about when I was 19 changed when a friend of mine, his name is Robbie, I went to high school with him, hadn't seen him in years, and I heard that I'm doing contracting. I heard he does pavers, right? Robbie's a cool dude. Robbie's he's sort of was that cool jock surfer dude, right? So I see him for the first time in a long time. He's doing a paver job for me. I'm subcontracting some stuff out to him, and I'm like, hey man, what's up? He's like, bro, life is good, bro. And I was like, well, tell me about it, man. What's good? I was like, the pavers treating you good? He's like, oh no, the pavers are not treating me good, man. It's not the pavers. He was like, I'm in the fire department now. So here I am, I'm in the middle of, and he had like this little sparkle in his eye, you know what I mean? Where he was just super stoked. We were the same age, and he was like super, and when he said fire department, it was like, really? He's like, yeah, you should think about it. And I'm like, dude, look at what I got going on. You think I'm going to, he's like, I'm just telling you, man, it's an awesome job. And he said something that it was a recurring theme that I heard every time I talked to someone, a fireman, said it's the best, excuse my language, best damn job in the world. He was new. And so what happened is, it was almost like a seed was planted, right? And I have this great thing going on, and I wasn't thinking about quitting. I was going to keep going on and just keep crushing it.
Yeah.
But it was almost like he sort of lit that spark again. And then over about a year, I go on family vacation, and I have a young family now, and my brother-in-laws are working, like for the railroad, and they have paid time off. And I'm like, I have a lot of things that I really like about my job. I have things set up and it's going good, but here I am on vacation and I don't have the PTO, the paid time off. They're making a lot less money, but they were sitting by the pool and enjoying their time. And so little things like that sort of started complementing this idea of, hey, maybe I want something else and a little bit different. And I started looking at what I had going on. And what I had going on was I had a great business. I had great guys working for me, but I also had a huge void. And the void was this. I was either working for people and trying to be super professional, which sometimes it's hard to get real personal, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a personal kind of guy. So I'm either working for people or people were working for me. And I could still be a nice guy and have good relationships, but I didn't really have camaraderie. Mm. And now I have a young family, and my wife was starting to notice, just some things where it was like maybe some stress was building up. And even though I was accomplishing all my goals and getting to that point of success, I didn't really have much of a life outside of it. And some people will say, hey, man, that's your own fault. And I get that. It's just maybe not my, personality. Maybe doesn't cater to being so structured that I don't answer my phone when a customer calls.
Yeah.
I care too much, right? And so all these things start coming together, and I'm starting to think about it more and more, and consider like what the fire department had to offer, right? I didn't really know what the life was, so I started asking my friends questions. I asked Robbie questions, and other people I knew who went in, asked them, and they're all saying the same thing. It's the best damn job in the world. And but I'm like, okay, well, what does that look like? And I start figuring out, they're like, dude, you get to hang out with these guys, and they're like your boys. They're like your brothers. They're like family. And I'm like, oh, you guys are starting to mess me up now, because now this little spark is starting to turn into something a little bit bigger, right? And the game changer was this. So I have what looks like a very successful business, and it was on the verge of going in that direction. And almost like that thing that keeping up with the Joneses, like, everything is good, when I'm starting to realize, like, there's some things, like, for me as an individual, because I kept putting other people first, my employees and the people I was working for first, there was, like, some needs that I had that weren't getting met, right? And I'm starting to realize that the more I'm talking to these other guys, because I'm like, man, like, not only did I want to be in the fire department, but now that the fire department offers something else that I didn't know that I really not only want, but really just need as an individual. And so I keep asking these guys, talking to these guys, and the flame keeps getting bigger. Long story short, I do a remodel for this guy, a customer of mine, and the next door neighbor has the garage door open, and there's always fire helmets hanging up in there. And I walk over, and I was like, hey, are you a fireman? And he's like, yeah, I am. This dude is like old and salty, crusty fireman, dude. And I was like, I'm really thinking about applying to the fire department, but I have this going on. Here's the thing that happened. Every time someone knew me from my business and I would mention the fire department, I'd get a weird look like you're crazy. But every time I talk to a fireman, like this guy who's been doing it, he's about to retire, like 30 years he was doing it. He's 65 years old, still going to like working fires on a busy truck. I asked him, I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about applying for the fire department. He's like, oh, you should. It's the best damn job in the world.
So you heard
and
that
I'm
about
like,
20 times by this
yeah,
point.
yeah. And this guy who's like, you know, he's an old school dude. He's like, I get to climb up ladders. And I'm like, dude, okay. And he's like, in you know, my brothers and sisters, people I work, it's just like no other job out there.
And you'd expect him to be complaining that he's still working.
I'm hoping a fireman will tell me, hey, man, like I would think twice, you know? And so, because like now I'm starting to see like, you know, so I have this conversation with him. Boom, I submit my application. And he's like, if you need anything, I'm in the Virginia Beach Fire Department. You let me know. I have the best crew. There's a lot of crew, but I have the best crew. Come up here and we'll show you. Do a ride along, this, that, and other thing. And I keep trying to do these things that like talk me out of it. Meanwhile, too, sidebar, you can cut this out if this is too long-winded. We're being contacted by a production company for a remodeling TV show, my wife and I.
Wow.
And that was another eye-opener is like, even though there's like this, and this was like at the beginning of the Chip and Joanna type stuff, where they were like huge. And my wife, she's, you know, did interior design, and we always had this dream, right, of like having a remodeling business. And now we have the opportunity to do this show. So she knows that's going on, and she's excited, but she's got a baby on her hip, and it's like, dude, I don't even know if we could do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how this would work out. So all this stuff's going on. I talked to this guy. I really want to apply, and I didn't really talk about the fire department much. So with my wife, I'm talking about the remodeling. I'm talking about the show opportunity. But when I'm at work and I see a fireman, I'm asking them questions, and so this like thing starting to happen. And I remember one night I want to apply, but I can't apply and get a job without like talking about it with my wife, because I'll be in a little trouble for that. So I remember this was the biggest thing. I was like, this is not gonna fly, because a lot of things are gonna change. Like, there's no way the income change, like the lifestyle change, like this is. And I was like, honey, I want to bring something up. I know you're going to think I'm sort of crazy, but I've been thinking about the fire department thing way back since our vacation with the brother-in-laws. And this is why. This is how it started out. This is everything that's happened. And I was like, you know, for me, it'd be nice to just show up, help people, show up, clock in, clock out. It'd be nice to have that camaraderie too. Like, I really feel like I need that. And structure and things like that. You know what I mean? Have a little bit more of a controlled lifestyle in that regard. Little did I know it was going to be a little bit more chaotic than I thought. But she looked at me and she said, I think it'd be a great idea.
Really?
And I was like, okay, it's a done deal. I'm like, it's a done deal. Yeah. So I submit the application, and I was like, well, what about this whole remodeling thing? She's like, look, she was like, if that works out and the fire department doesn't, that's the direction we'll go in. If the fire department thinks, she's a wise woman. I'm glad I have her. She's like, if the fire department thing works out and that doesn't, I was like, well, what if they both work out? She's like, well, we'll figure it out. And it was within a week of applying. I'm starting to figure out that I'm like starting to get into the process now. They call and they're like, hey, we're pulling all of our couples off. They were supposed to come to our house, at itinerary and everything, flying out from New York, the production company. And she was like, yeah, Chip and Joanna are so big. Everyone's trying to pitch couples now. You guys are great. I think you could have a future at this, but you're still young. And we hate to do this, but they're just not going to. We can make a trailer all day long, but they're just not taking them anymore. And I was like, okay, another one. And the whole process worked out like that.
Wow.
So a really long answer, but that's how. So it was like one of those things. I'm like, look, I have something great going on, and I'm not trying to mess it up already. But this other thing is growing inside of me. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to. The department's extremely hard to get into. Virginia Beach Fire Department, the reputation is like phenomenal. Like, we're known across the nation, right?
You've mentioned camaraderie a couple times.
Right.
And like, as an entrepreneur, like on a lonely journey, which it oftentimes is, like
it is.
Building a contracting business, like what do you feel like you're missing as an entrepreneur that the fire department like has given you?
Yeah, so I have said a lot of times camaraderie, peers, other people, and I know people are like, oh, go to a BNI meeting or go. It's you're still business. That's how you're wired, is to be like, you know, and sell yourself. You know what I mean? I was missing like having other people who I was doing life with, who I could like, you know, And running a business, it's very time consuming. And again, people are like, oh, well, just make time for friends and that and the other thing. But
so like in business, it's like you don't need each other necessarily. It's like an option. Whereas in the fire department, it's kind of like you have to work together. And like the situations, like you're.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but like to a level that like I didn't even realize, right? I kept hearing these other guys say brotherhood and family and, all these terms. You don't typically hear that in most industries.
No, yeah. You hear that in like high school, like on your wrestling or like baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a buddy, his name's Kevin, and he's in the Norfolk Fire Department.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the same thing, it was the camaraderie. But he missed like in high school being on the wrestling team.
Yep.
Like having those guys and like in the same lane, and that's what made him want to go like back into it. So
so that's the biggest thing, and I was missing that, and I think that was probably the biggest thing. And other guys I am married, I have a young family, and the people I was working for, they had kids who were grown, and that type of thing. So like people that you're working so much. I mean, I work a lot now. A lot more in the fire department than I thought I was going to. But when I was running my business, it was the same thing. And there just wasn't that, understanding. Like, people would listen, but there wasn't that, also that understanding. And and there's a lot of other blessings that come along with being in the fire department. Like, are these people from different paths who have different skill sets and this and that and other things.
So going into the fire department, I think a lot of people see it on the outside as this great thing. Like there's all of these what was the show that you brought up to me about the firefighters?
Oh, it was Chicago Fireman.
Yeah, Chicago Fire. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So on the outside, not having been a firefighter to now being a firefighter, what's different than what you expected? And I guess what are some of the pros that are the pros, like the camaraderie, maybe some other things, the lifestyle. But what are also some of the cons, some of the things that you don't necessarily see going into it?
Sure. So this is okay. So firemen are viewed as tough but friendly. They're going to run in when other people are running out, like all those things, right? And they are tough. They're tough guys, and they're also friendly. But these guys are also, they see a lot of stuff, and there's also a lot of people don't see through that, like friendly firemen, and really understand the amount of stuff that they see. And some of that stuff's hard to unsee, and some of it's hard to cope with. And so, a lot of the humor's different too. I mean, my wife's like, don't bring that fire department humor home, because it's a different type, and it's a part of coping with the stuff that you see and the lifestyle. I thought too, the cops would say, yeah, you guys just grill and chill. That's all and take naps and play cornhole. I'm sorry, but when I got there, it's 20 hours out of the day we're running calls and 4 hours of broken sleep. We go to every EMS call, that it gets punched out. It's not just, we're not just going to the one fire that happens every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And so with that comes fatigue. Tiredness makes you weaker, and then you're seeing stuff. And you're trying to, I'll say it, there's a dark side to it that a lot of people from the outside looking in, they see the Chicago Fire and all these other shows and stuff. And mental health is now being talked about a lot more. But also the tough firemen, the reason I said they're friendly, but they're also tough. The tough firemen, it used to be viewed that you were tough if you didn't talk about those things. Where now even some of those old school guys are saying, hey, look, it's not the same fire department it used to be, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like we've had, I think it's number 1 or number 2. So cardiac is one of the leading causes of death in the fire department, but suicide's right up there too. And there just weren't a lot of people talking about it because, you want to be viewed as tough. We surrender our life to this job because we put people first, this, that, and the other thing. And if you can't handle it, someone else will take your seat, like all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people didn't even know that that used to be a thing. And then a lot of people don't really, and I didn't know that going into it. So I'm like, I saw all the positives that I've, spent all that time explaining, the camaraderie, the relationships, all that kind of stuff. But that makes that so much more important because of what we're exposed to constantly.
Those things that make it challenging, they're incidences on the job a lot of times, cases that you'll come up on. Like, I feel like maybe on the outside, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just, fighting fires, right? It's like the firefighter, but it's really deeper layers than just a fire. In fact, I've heard a lot of firefighters say there's usually not even that many fires sometimes. A lot of times, would you say a bulk of the work is not big fire related? What would you say a bulk of the work is?
So as far as statistically for our department, I don't have an exact number, but I would say probably 10% or less is actual work going into a burning house. For sure, a burning house, because even a pot on a stove is considered a fire call, right? But so we're in Virginia Beach, respond to every EMS call, and we provide medical care. We respond to the disputes where someone said they got hit. The person sleeping on the sidewalk who, someone doesn't know if they're okay or not. Going to the homeless shelters and, providing medical care and helping them get transported by the ambulance.
You're really rolling up on like potential trauma-inducing situations.
Everything, all types of trauma. It may not just be an actual, physical trauma where someone got hit by a car. It could be, like a child neglect type thing, where it's like you might go there for a breathing difficulty and you see the conditions of some of other people's lives. Because we get into access in other people's lives, and I always knew people, you hear people talk about the fact that, firemen they're one of a kind because like people will hand you their baby, right? Because they call you on their worst day or, their worst moments and stuff. But at the same time, like you're invited into their personal life, and there's a lot of stuff. It can be sad, okay? I'm a weak guy, okay? I'm a softie. It can be sad. Let's be honest, it can. And so, and I know you said positives and negatives, and I'm not trying to come off negative, but I think if the truth is exposed, there's also a lot of things that are happening in the fire department throughout the country that are addressing these things and bringing positive change to firefighters.
And keeping the respect
into
going
lifestyles
too.
And all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Because I think it's a respected trade. Unfortunately, I think the police has like deteriorated in respect, like unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I think that maintaining that respect and awareness of what you guys police go through is important to that. Like being aware of that's, not always just, putting out a fire. It's going into these trauma situations where then you have to carry that weight home. You're supposed to be.
Yeah. It's like when you see, there will come a time, they told us in the academy, there'll come a time where you'll go to respond to a traumatic incident, and it may remind you of, it could be a young kid. You might have a kid that age at home. Or it might be, everyone's got their trait, and you don't know. And the thing is, you're going to so many calls all the time, and they all sort of start to sound the same. And then you walk in, and there might be that one call that just really hits you like a train, and you don't realize it, And then now, again, you're operating with limited sleep in many situations. You're weak, you're tired, and then you're trying to mentally heal from some stuff. So mental health, there's a guy, Blake Stinnett is his name. He started a nonprofit called Next Rung, and it's all about suicide awareness for the first responders in general, so EMTs and firefighters, because the statistic, it's in the top 3 reasons of.
Yeah. What do you? And to me, I'm thinking there's a light that comes with being exposed to those things, and I think that it maybe could be in that you see how scary things can get, and that I think I would get appreciation if I saw like, wow, look at these situations, like being thankful. Do you feel like you get like a level of gratitude or like life depth appreciation from the job?
100%. So, and there's a lot of things. It changes the way that you spend your time. So back to, I gave up a lot when I gave up my business to get in, and then I get in and I'm like, dude, this isn't grilling and chilling, man. Like this is a lot more challenging, so it was a little bit, this back and forth of like, I gave this up, which was hard to do, for this other thing that's going to be this. And then I get in and it's like, now I'm giving up more. sleep, the best of me when I get home, this, that, and the other thing. But then on the other side of that is when I am home, even though I may be tired and dealing with some of the struggles, the value of time. That is why I made that change. That is why I went from remodeling to and having that business to the fire department, is valuing how valuable time is.
Time over the money.
And when you see what people are going through constantly, and even if you're worn out and you're tired, it's still worth it to just have just this sobering perspective on how valuable time is, and time with your family, time with the loved ones, and time with those people. And there's a huge bit of gratitude to be there. And quick story, if you want one, all right, so out of all my calls, I'm a fireman, right? It's all about fighting fire and doing this, right? But we go to these EMS calls all the time. I'm going to tell you about my favorite call. Go to a call, and it's a 30-year-old. I'm going to keep some of the information, sort of, I'm not going to disclose it, but it was a weird situation. We walk in, and comments were that the guy's foot was severely infected, right? And we walk in, and the guy's in his room and won't come out, and it turns out that he had a severely autistic, like nonverbal, and the mom's there, and the mom's like, he really needs to go to the hospital, but he won't even let me bathe him, and we're all sort of trying to figure out what's going on and like how to help this guy out, and he keeps shutting the door, and a lot of times you want to clear up and get to the next call type thing. But this guy cracks the door open and just take a peek and see what's going on. And I look down, and the smell in his room is horrible. His foot has like worms growing out of it. Okay. So this dude needs help, and the mom is just like begging us. But he's an adult, so like, what do? You can't kidnap someone and force them to go. But she has medical power of attorney, right? So, long story short, I'm like, Cap, I saw it. Like, we need to come up with a plan, right? So we come up with a plan, and I work with this guy for 45 minutes with my flashlight. I leave it outside of his door. I say, hey, my flashlight's outside of your door if you want to see. He cracks the door open, sees it, and then slams his door shut. And then over 45 minutes, it goes from like the quick peek to he's grabbing it, bringing it in his room, and then bringing it out to me and handing it to me. And I convince him to basically come with me and get into the ambulance, and he goes and gets, the medical care that he needs. And he's like nonverbal towards his mom. And now this guy, so fast forward a couple months later, we get a call, and I'm on a different truck, and the truck that goes to this call, it was at his house. They were there for like 30 minutes, and they couldn't get him to come downstairs and go in the ambulance. I get woken up. I'm taking a midday nap. I'm tired. Okay, we do sleep sometimes.
He's asking for Doug.
Yes, he's asking for Doug, right? So the other truck's like, we need Doug. And what happened was a healthcare worker shows up to assess what's going on, and his foot is still not good. And this was quite a bit later, and I want to say this more in a couple months, maybe even a year. Like, this is an ongoing medical issue. And I'm like, I look at the address, and I was like, oh, that's my boy Tavish, man. And we roll up, and there's all these people. There's like, all these first responders there. Mm-hmm. And this dude just standing there, and he's not going to take a step. I walk in, and I'm a little groggy, man. I was getting my little midday nap. I go in, I'm like, hey, Tavish, come with me. We're going to the hospital. I put my hand out. He grabs my hand. I walk him down the stairs. And for me, that was the highlight up to this point of my career, is having that he trusts me to a point to where, he is willing to go to a place that he's uncomfortable going and get the help that he needs. Yeah. And the dude still got his foot now. You know what I mean? And he's getting better. And the healthcare worker she called me later after the fact, and it told me all the plans that she has in place, and so he's getting long-term help. You know what I mean? And for me, that was the most rewarding thing. So I've been to fires. We've been in all kinds of cool stuff, but for me, it's just again, you can call me soft or whatever. I'm cool with it. I'm comfortable. I am who I am. Love me or hate me. That is up to this point been the highlight of my career. So as far as you're asking, gratitude and feeling how rewarding the job is. For me, that kind of stuff is it makes it all worth it, man. Yeah, it's challenging. It's not what I thought it was going to be as far as I didn't see the mental health thing being what it was. I didn't see us running as many calls as we ran.
What about in terms of like you were an asset to him in that moment, whereas I feel like a lot of times the career paths we go on, like in really critical life situations, it doesn't, you don't know how to be an asset. Like I think that's really cool too, where the career kind of like turns you into an asset. Do you feel like your mentality has changed outside of the job? Like
it has changed for better, but also maybe for worse in the sense that like I understand what a true emergency is now. And so where I used to stress out if a customer was like, hey, the outlet's not in the right spot, I'd be like, oh, I got to rush over there and fix this like now. Now I'm like, I say for better or for worse. Now like I tell them, I'm able to say, hey, look, we'll get it taken care of.
It's not an emergency.
But it's not, trust me, you don't have worms growing out of your foot. You know what I mean? You see, and it's the same thing at home. So I have a lot of family members, my wife's family. When stuff goes down and they're having that moment, it's nice to be that. They call me. They ask me for doctor advice. I'm just an EMTB. It's hilarious. But I know enough to offer them a little bit of peace and comfort.
They're like chaotic.
Should I go to the hospital? The baby's got a bump on her head. I'm like, well, we'll talk about it, but just take a deep breath, So it is nice.
That's cool.
It is nice. Yeah. So it's got pros and cons to it, but.
I remember when we used to work together, we were sitting in Wendy's one day having a 4-for-4 meal, and you told me about this story.
Shout out to Wendy's, by the way.
Shout out. We did a lot of Wendy's. I hope you eat better in the fire department, but I don't think you do.
Yeah, we do. I brought you Chick-fil-A. That's better than Wendy's, isn't it?
I will take Chick-fil-A.
So 4-for-4, we're having a 4-for-4. What did I say? Something ridiculous?
We're having a 4-for-4, and you told me, and I still remember the story, the journey that you had way before any of your career moves, way back. I see a twinkle in your eye right now. You're like,
well, I don't know which one. Like how much of a journey? Like the.
So you had you didn't go to college, did you?
No.
But I remember you had a brother, I think, right?
A twin. I have a twin brother.
Twin brother. Yeah. And I rember you
the
telling
better looking one who got to go to college. Yeah. There's no animosity.
I remember that you had a journey before then that led you to kind of the path of even becoming an entrepreneur to begin with. Do you feel comfortable going into that? Just like sharing. I remember being inspired by that journey. Like you said that you had some like rough patches along the way that ultimately led you to become, the 2.0 Doug today. But I feel like if people could hear that same story that I heard, that it could be inspiring, because I remember it was like inspiring to me to hear like your adversity and what you went through and stuff, and you don't have to go into all of it, but you had a period where you weren't always just Doug now, right?
No. I'm a Christian, but I wasn't always, okay? And I graduated high school. My brother, single mom, couldn't afford, the financial aid for both. And he did a little bit more, paperwork than I did, a little quicker. And so he got the opportunity, right? And so 17, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna start working. So I started doing construction because that's what I grew up around. I didn't want to be a construction guy, though, because everyone in my family's done it. So I want to be something different, right? But I didn't really have a choice. It was almost like survival mode. Like I'm trying to figure things out. So I'm doing construction just to try to make some money. Well, I was also not in the best mental place, and just dealing with some things, a bunch of high school drama type stuff, and trying to sort of figure out who I am as a young man. Meanwhile, my mom was in a relationship and got married and moved to Texas. I'm living at the oceanfront, and boom, I got the keys to the house now. But I'm also having to pay rent. So I'm 7. I'm not even 18 yet, and I have a townhouse down at the oceanfront. And I'm paying my part of the rent, and she felt awful, but she had to. She got married.
Yeah,
she moved to Texas, so I didn't have to pay all the rent, but I had bills, man. And so I'm 17 with my own place with bills, and I found out real quick, man. and I also was dealing with some mental health stuff back then. It was like survival mode. Like I thought like I didn't know anything about finances. I remember I was so frustrated that they didn't teach finance in high school.
Yeah.
Like even a budget. You know what I mean? And so, I had this car payment. I took over my mom's car payment. So I have like an adult, working professional's car and house, and I'm 17. I'm not even 18 yet. And so I just start grinding, dude. Just working as much as I can for other people, making not a lot of money, eating the ramen noodles, fake ID, drinking the beer, partying. That was like numbing me because I'm dealing with depression. Mm-hmm. I'm dealing with some things.
You're trying to compensate with having to deal with
all
that.
Yeah. But I'm also like trying to feel good about my life. And, I'm a man now. I live on my own. I'm a man. I'm trying to feel good about being a man because it's sort of, I'm also struggling mentally, financially, all this stuff. And I'm just work. It's always been my solution. Sort of still is sometimes. Just, we'll work through it. Yeah. I mean? Work harder. Yeah. But so I'm doing that at 17. I get a job for a guy, 17, 18, 19 years old, partying like crazy, super depressed, trying to act like a tough guy. And I wasn't, man. I'm a tender dude. You know me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who I am. I have no identity. And, I never met my father. So I never knew who I really was. But now I need to figure this out, right? So I'm a work, doing something that I never wanted to do because I didn't want to be like, everyone else in my family and all these construction guys. So I'm not happy. Outside looking in again, I'm 18, 19, living at the ocean front. Everyone's partying at my house and sort of fake friends, mm-hmm. It's all around drugs and partying and doing all this stuff. And what thrusted me to it was survival, right? 17 to 19, I'm just trying to survive all the way up to about 20 years old and trying to pay the bills, trying to survive, and really accomplishing nothing. Mm-hmm. I get in trouble for partying too hard, underage drinking 4 times. So I get all these charges against me, and I'm a man. Like, you can't make me go to court. I remember one time I was going to court and I was so hungover, I threw up in the parking lot. Oh my gosh. And so that's how much of a mess. It was like a dumpster fire, dude. My life was a freaking mess. But it was all I knew, man. And I just had no identity. It was all in that stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'm still trying to survive. And then I go to jail. And this is my favorite part of my story with my life. This drug dealer in there, this guy's in there for like selling crack or something, comes up to me and he's like, hey, you shouldn't be in here. And I'm like, well, I agree with you. I agree with you, man. I got a horrible haircut, look like a Harry Potter haircut. And dude, I had braces just put on. My grandma was trying to hook me up with some nice teeth, and I'm in jail for underage drinking. And he's like, yeah, you need to get out of here. You're going to give me whatever food I want. I'm going to make sure you get out of here, right? And I'm like, and no one's going to mess with you. I'm like, okay. So this is all part of the change. Something crazy happens. I'm already trying to survive, and I'm work. But now everything is in jeopardy. The car that I was trying to pay for, I was supposed to be in jail for like 160 days, dude, because I had not shown up to court so many times. I had like warrants out for me and stuff for underage drinking. But it was because I had like no regard for authority. So I didn't have authority. I didn't have identity. I didn't have any of that stuff. So here I am. So everything's in jeopardy, and all I have, the only person who's going to protect me and take care of me is this big
drug dealer.
this drug dealer, dude, the local jail, right? And so, I got braces on, bro, and I'm like 20. I got a horrible haircut. I'm like, oh, I hope something bad doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying? And a day or two goes by. He was really cool, down to earth type dude. He's like, you don't belong here, man. You're not like us. And I'm like, well, but the way I'm living my life is like, I'm sort of like, who am I like then? I don't know who I'm freaking like. And I get bored and I'm like, dude, do you have anything to read? And he's like, yeah. And he throws a book. It's called Purpose Driven Life. It's a faith-based book. And I knew about it because my grandma had given me a copy, and I knew I wanted nothing to do with that stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? I was like, this is the only book you have? Like, sort of like that. Like, you have this book? I was like, I'm not going to read that. He was like, you are going to read it. And he was like, don't knock it.
I'm taking your brownie.
Well, yeah. He was like, don't knock it till you read it. Like, give it a chance. So here I am, dude. This is the turning point in my entire life. Business, all this other stuff. It all revolves around this one moment, like how I ended up where I am today. I have braces on, Harry Potter haircut, jumpsuit, and flip the jail sandals, all that stuff. Sleeping on the floor of the city jail cell or whatever. He says, don't knock it till you try it. I have no identity, none of this stuff. I open this up, and it's a faith-based book, so it has some scripture in it, like a lot of these leadership books and stuff are. And I open it up, and the first words that I read, I haven't been reading, dude. I'm a party animal. First words I read are, do not worry about what you eat. I have braces on, dude. I couldn't freaking eat anything. The guy's stealing half my food anyways. What you drink or what you wear. And I'm wearing a freaking jumpsuit. And it goes on, it's like Matthew 6, it goes on to explain that, God takes care of the birds and look how beautiful they are. And he feeds, all the animals and look how beautiful everything else is. Like he takes care of them. Seek first him, your heavenly Father, and everything else will fall into place. Dude, I freaking broke down. I mean, it was like this thing. Cause like in this moment I'm realizing like, holy crap, like, I do have an identity, and it's been here this whole time, and I'm not just a person who needs help. Like there's someone who's got a plan for me, and it was like all that I longed for, man. Like direction, this, that, and everything. And so, and out of that moment, man, I mean, I was just dealing with so much stuff, and it was just like this huge, just like eye-opening, life-changing revelation.
That was like the window in the jail.
It was the window. And I remember, dude, I read the whole book. Wow. And like, I just couldn't sleep, man. And I called my grandma. She was the only one local. And she was checking on me, and she was like, she was like, I'm going to try to help get you. I was like, Grandma, I don't care what happens. God's got a plan for me. Well, she bought me this book. I just never read it. I was like, God's got a plan for me. I don't care how long I stay here. I'm good. Like, I'm good now. I don't care what happens. Wow. I just surrendered everything. I was like, I'm going to figure out who I am now through this whole process of, becoming a Christian and living it out. And I know it's not like a faith-based podcast. And so, but that is really what defined me. Mm-hmm. And so, like, here I am now, this guy who had been just trying to survive working construction. Well, I realized, hey, I had learned all this stuff, and now, I have the confidence. I have, this is who I am. I'm going to start a handyman business. So I quit my job. The guy was like verbally abusive, like cussed me out, leave me in parking lots. I'm like, dude, I could go fix drywall. So start doing handyman stuff. That led into bathroom remodels. And I almost had like this, like dangerous, like limitless, like view on life. Like I honestly believe that because I'm not in control, you know what I mean? Like I surrendered that, and I'm a reflection of what I believe is my heavenly Father. And like, I believe that there's a lot of stuff I'm not, in control of, but there's also is a plan for my life. Right. So I'm going to be stoked. I'm going to figure out what that plan is, and I'm going to go until, there's a detour. Fire department was a detour, And then I started the remodeling business back up, and it's just not very compatible. And then, I took all the wisdom and all this other stuff and looked at it, and that's why I started the pressure washing company. Because I'm like, you know what? Like, a lot of people do things for a lot of different reasons, but for me, success isn't about money, just for me. Success is about the peace. One, if you had peace, I think you're pretty successful. That's something that you can't buy. People try to buy peace. I try to buy peace with alcohol and drugs, People try to buy peace and all the different kinds. So the peace, the confidence, like the mental health, the time with family, a good reputation, all those things are what motivated me. And so, I was like, well, I'm always going to have a business because why not? Anyone can do it. I had this like I can do anything mentality because I wasn't in control of it. Something way bigger than me was in control. And if it wasn't meant to be, look, he's in control. He's going to make sure it doesn't work out. Right. And so I've just been in not sort of autopilot, but like really comfortable with, letting my life sort of play itself out and like try to stay excited about what the next.
And knowing that to an extent, like you're not in control. Like I think that's always the interesting thing. Like how much are we really in control versus not? Like regardless of what your background is, like I think it's always interesting to think like, yeah, like I'm in control of my day to day, but in the macro, like, I'm destined to just do
You
this.
are, but you're not. You could be headed to the biggest, like, sit down sales opportunity of your life, and you get a flat tire and you look like a loser.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to stress out and,
Yeah. But inner peace, I think that's a really good point with that. Like you should have inner peace, like in that environment or in the big sit down sales meeting, like just being grounded in knowing you're not in control and knowing who you really are and living in that purpose. And that's something I've had to like work on and figure out is like almost like what is purpose for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And a lot of times it's, it's not, purpose isn't like, oh, I'm supposed to be, for me, the fire department is an avenue. It's a job. My purpose isn't to be the best firefighter in the world.
Yeah.
It's to be, a good human, take care of people who need it in a time of need. That I get my purpose out of helping people.
Yeah.
And, because there's a time where I really needed help and, the person I least expected it to help me threw a book at me and helped me out.
Yeah.
And
in that moment, he was focusing on you. It's like focusing on others is always, I think, like an amazing way to like ground and distract yourself from your selfish things.
Well, so I'm addicted to drugs at the time I was in jail, smoked cigarettes for like 2 packs a day, doing construction for like 5 years, right? I had legit depression, like really bad thoughts, all that kind of stuff. Would just like break down and cry for no reason. And I was trying to find a reason, but there wasn't one. It was depression. And when it came to, me like finding out that I have a purpose, but it's not about me. I always tell myself that when I show up to work, it's not about me. It's about them. When I found out that, when I started focusing, literally I get out of jail and I'm just like, who can I help? I want to go help people. Dude, I quit all that stuff and the depression and all this stuff. So now I have like my whole identity was found in staying focused on others. When I start getting like paranoid, because those things will come back. You're never like, was never healed of all that stuff, like the mental stuff, like the paranoia or the anxiety, like indefinitely. I'm not always just at peace. But when I realize that I'm not at peace, I realize it's because I'm thinking like old Doug, myself. And so that's when I'm like, hey, look, it's not about me. Like, focus on the people that you love, focus on the people that you're paid to focus on, the people who are placed in front of you. And then it's crazy how all those other things sort of start to dissipate and everything is an avenue. This business is an avenue. I mean, you're doing it now, like you're trying to do something that's going to benefit other people. And as a business owner, you start getting stressed out, sometimes you got to do some logistical stuff to make sure you're taking care of yourself. But other times you just need to take the focus off of yourself and say, hey, look, even if I'm comfortable too, even if something that I set up to do, I fail and it doesn't work out, I still have the right motivation to do it, and I'll just try again.
Yeah.
Looking
at more of like a lifelong journey versus like, right now I need this amount of closings or whatever it is in that month.
And I may have failed at that, but I'm not a failure. I'm just a person who was trying to do something for someone else, and maybe it didn't work out, and I'm going to try again. And I'm going to try again. I'm going to try again. And eventually, the hard part about that is you also got to take care of yourself. So that's why I started the pressure washing stuff. Was I needed something that was scalable, something that was going to be a blessing to my family and not a second full-time job, and a turnkey type business.
Flexibility too.
Flexibility, but I still want to, if I'm going to work, I still want to have the customer relationships and feel like I'm, it's not about washing the house or washing the concrete as much as it is about meeting the people in my community, establishing relationships with them. Talking to them about their family and them, being genuinely interested in like who I am. And the firefighter thing is, it's a bigger reason why a lot of people hire me. And it's very interesting to people. So a lot of people ask questions, and that's where you learn about a lot of the misconceptions that are out there. And but people are always thankful. Even though a lot of people think you grill and chill and, just go to a fire, they're still like, yeah, you're still a hero to them. So, I mean.
So you having been on that journey from the lowest of the low, you said you never met your dad, right?
Never met my dad.
And then, your mom moved to Texas, you're alone, went through all that, and then went into the multiple businesses. Now you're a father, right? How many kids you got? You got 2 kids?
I'm 3 now.
3 now, my gosh. So all of that going, I bet it must be fulfilling to take all of that and be able to put it into them. What is it like being a dad for you now, having not had a dad? And
it's so, dude, it's all I ever wanted. And it's so awesome because I wear them out. Like, I wear them out because I feel like I learned so much, and I actually, I went through a lot, and I'm like, honey, they have it so good. Like, and you know what I mean? And I literally had this conversation this morning with my son, struggling with it. He's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, your buddy invited you to do this, and doing a perspective shift and taking it. I'm like, don't focus on yourself. If you don't go do this, you're going to make him feel like, that he's not important to you and this friendship doesn't matter. He's 9. So it's a big lesson for him to learn, but I'm trying. I'm like, yeah, I'm already wearing him out. I'm like, look, man, like, you need to do this because this is about how it affects other people. It's not about so much what you want.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to teach them the same thing. It's not so much about me. It's because that's the key to mental health and all this other stuff and being successful. In my opinion.
I imagine it's hard with kids. Like, if you come from this place where you've had all these lessons and had all these hard times that made you figure these things out and learn it, and then creating a better environment for your kids, you're like, you hope that they instill and have the same. You
almost don't want to create a cush environment because then you're like, will they ever learn that lesson? You can't make it too cush and too comfortable. You know what I mean?
How do you feel like you balance that? Like, is that something you consciously think about?
No. Well, yeah, because I have to constantly remind them, like, hey, work then play. Like, they may have like some things I didn't have growing up, but at the same time, like, constantly trying to provide that structure. Like, hey, this is just what we do. You know what I mean? Like, we work first, we take care of chores, then we play.
Yeah.
And so, again, you got to create that framework for them.
What do you feel like family was a big motivator? It seems like it was, like, in making the transition to the fire department. That was like a big part of it, right? Has it been overall beneficial, you feel like, for the family lifestyle?
Yes and no. I mean, to be honest with you, again, the amount of stress and stuff that it sort of hits you, like, when you're not expecting it, that fatigue, processing through some of that stuff. You're not going to go home and tell them about all that, that stuff that you see. Yeah, you have to drop it. And so now it's like, well, I got to wait till I get back to work if I need to talk to someone about this and that and other thing. So it's been great in many aspects, but it's been a challenge too. It's been great in the fact that my schedule is it's more manageable in many aspects. The biggest thing was, my son was addicted to Fireman Sam when I was like applying for the fire department. This is a little kid's show. And my son, he's convinced that I'm like going and like pulling people out of burning buildings. He thinks like Chicago Fire type stuff. And I let him think that. So, the feeling that I get, selfishly, the feeling that I get. Yeah. So for me, it's great. And for them too, I think it is good to show them, like, it's, serving those around you. We say a customer service organization, but serving the citizens and stuff, like, I think it's a good example for them. And they see how much, like, even though there are challenges and stuff, it's still the best damn job in the world. And they see I'm still fired up, every time. Sometimes a little too much. Sometimes I get told, hey, calm down a little bit, I
like the pun there, fired up.
See what I did there.
So people that are, interested in being a firefighter that maybe are in like a similar career path, like they're just kind of going through the ruts, what would you say is good advice, good sound advice for someone who's like genuinely looking at being a part of the department?
As far as applying and career-wise?
I guess less of getting into it. Like, I know it's challenging to get into it, but I guess more of like expectations from it. Like people.
Well, first things first, it's actually, one thing I say is it's not as challenging. We need people. We need good people, and it's not for everyone. So sometimes we recruit people, and not all of them are going to go through the academy. It's not going to be.
So you guys are in kind of a shortage now.
Yeah, I think most of the nation, as far as like first responders, police, and fire, is. Yeah.
Where are all the people? Where are they? Where are all the people? It's like every
remodeling
industry.
Bathroom. I don't know.
Every industry.
Remodeling bathrooms and doing podcasts.
Quit remodeling bathrooms, and doing podcasts. Come to the fire department.
Come on, Kate. So there's a shortage. So, and it used to be more difficult because, but we're still recovering. Things are getting better though. We've been hiring a lot, but there's a lot of opportunity. And a lot of departments at Hampton Roads and outside of here, really all across the nation, to if it's something that you're at least considering, you can do ride-alongs. You can go up to a fire station. We love our job. We'll talk to you about it all day long. We're just getting started, baby. I don't know if you know, but I'm going to be here for like another 8 hours just talking about fire department. But, a good way to get started, though, is there is a lot of opportunity. I say do what I did, like apply. If you already have a job and you're curious, it doesn't hurt to apply. You can always, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Again, we're not in control, right? So just apply, and a lot of departments will let you do a ride along. Now I don't want to blow that because next thing you know, everyone's gonna be wanting to ride on the fire truck, all day long. But and you can go up to the station, talk to the guys. If you know anyone who's in a department, like, hey, what's it like? And
but it is the best damn job in the world, dude.
Yeah.
Will you say that? Because you said a
They'll
bunch
tell
of people
you that.
told you that.
They'll tell you that, but you do got to, sometimes I remember another thing I did, though, because I kept hearing that, is I'm like, okay, this sounds too good to be true, though. And so I called some friends. I'm like, hey, everyone keeps telling me it's the best damn job in the world. Like I need to know like the good and the bad, not just this cool statement that's super, attractive to say and is going to bring people into it. Like I want to know like what's it like with what's family like, life like, and like how often do you really see gnarly stuff,
Yeah.
And guys told me, hey, it's a lot, but you have support systems, and even most city organizations will have like free counseling, like professionals. Like they'll pay for you to go if you're caught off guard because you're carrying something that you didn't expect to carry. Like the city, there's everything from therapists to, plus now you're working out. That's therapeutic. That's good, there's
free
a
gym membership.
So like, hey man, there is this, that, and the other thing, but there's also more of this, and that. They make it worth it, and that's why we say what we say.
But now you've transitioned to starting a new business, Hose Pros, right, with a partner.
Yeah, Hose Pros. You like that?
Hose Pros.
Do you get it? That's another play on. I get fired up when I say Hose Pros.
Fired up. You got these fired. You got other ones. All these puns. Hose Pros fired up. What's inspired you to go back now into business? Because you were kind of like took a lull period where you're like, I'm going to take off from doing the bathroom kitchen remodeling. What made you go back to starting this?
So I was always sort of doing things on the radar because my availability, I didn't know it was going to be like in the fire department. So I was still doing like some like contracting, remodel type stuff. Not remodels though, like tile backsplash, a little bit of work here and there, just to keep things going. Because my wife we started homeschooling during COVID stuff. And so I always needed, a little bit of extra income, right? And a lot of firemen, they do have another thing going on because
that's the thing, isn't it?
It's not about the money though. That's the thing. That's another thing that makes it unique. Is like guys, they will say, hey, we should get paid more, and of course, but on the other hand, if they don't, like there were years that a lot of these guys didn't get raises. I'm not saying just Virginia Beach, but like in general, a lot of cities just couldn't afford to do it. And did they leave? Did they quit? No. They kept doing it. And they'll complain about that aspect, but they're still the best damn job in the world. So they still showed up because, you know, it really at the end of the day, it wasn't about the money, but you need to support and provide for your family, which is why I was like, okay, that's why I got back into it.
But you can control it now. It's not your full-time thing. You can control it and use it as kind of needed.
Yep. I needed something so I always sort of stayed trying to, once you start hustling, you can't stop hustling, right? So I was always making money, but the reason that I started Host Pros and did something different is because for the past year that I've been doing the remodels and renovations while being in the fire department, it was like 2 full-time jobs, man. And for me, I'm like, hey, you know, this is not really complementing. Like, I left remodeling to be a firefighter, and now I feel like, you know, I'm losing a little bit of steam with the fire department because I'm spending so much time doing this, and it's really hard work. And I wasn't being the type of business owner I wanted to be, because even though it's a small business, it was like, I want to be efficient. I want something that's quick, efficient. You know,
to be a machine and be good at it.
Yeah, and I want to be able to. I want people when they're acting friendly, it'd be because, you know, I want to know that I'm going to meet their expectations. And when you're approaching a remodel, it's like, and now you're working 10 days, 24 hours at a time. That's another thing.
And like it contradicts the whole point of being a firefighter in a way too. It seems like, because if you have a really complicated business outside of like the department, it's like everything's not complicated. But if you have something like, I think a lot of firefighters, they have landscape companies, termite, you know, companies, home inspections. I bet there's some of those.
Yeah, there's some.
So it's like you can kind of, those things you can put your hour in that you want and get out. You know, it's not like a 3-week long strategic operation like yours.
So
your work was.
6-week remodel with the fire department, because I don't want to work weekends because I got kids, soccer games and church and stuff like that. You know, 6-week remodel when it was Doug and Cade and the other bros, it became, you know, 4, 5, 6 months sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you start, it's all about time.
So you're not providing the service that you wanted to.
Yeah, and I'm not even like, why am I even doing this? And because it's like I'm not even making like efficient money. And like I said, business is all about, you know, your business is to make you money. That's the purpose of the business. And I'm like, well, I'm not even doing that. Like, I'm not that type of person. My business for me is to build relationships, reputation, all that other stuff we talked about. But I'm like I don't even know what I'm doing. So I need something that complements. And
are you getting a fulfillment now out of doing a more simple business model like pressure washing?
It's a blessing to my family, man. Yeah. And that's what I wanted it to be, because I felt like, the fire department takes away everything that's outside of the family, takes away from the family, right? Yeah, you can, time-wise, whatever, energy, all that kind of stuff. And so, it's been more of a blessing because it's scalable. You know, it puts me in a better mood. Jobs are quicker. I can go and do a house wash, do an awesome house wash, make it look beautiful in a couple hours.
Interesting, like amazing results.
and be there for my family. And so for me, I mean, this is probably not the best sales pitch, but I don't care. I started this business for my family, not so much because I'm the type of person, I'm going to serve people doing something, this, that, or the other thing. So I started Hose Pros. The first thing I did is I went through my calendar. I'm like, here's my fire department days. I'm never going to work on a weekend because that's for my family, unless I'm at the fire department. And I'm just not. Yeah. So that's why I'm different.
Seems like in general, the biggest critical shift that you made was changing from valuing money to valuing time, like in everything. Like it seems like that's been the dynamic that's.
But it's hard because you still need money, man. You need to survive.
But you would never lose the time to get the money. Like if you needed the time, like if it was like you would, like you said, you won't give up your weekends.
Yeah. So
like you drew the line.
And so that's what I did is I looked at things. I'm like, what are some turnkey businesses that I Googled. I'm a little crazy when it comes to like doing research because I don't want to fail just because I didn't do the research. Yeah. Like that's just so many resources. It's dumb if you fail because you just didn't.
You can learn the whole business model on YouTube now.
So I looked up all these things, man, and I was like, hey, this is very similar to like what I do as a fireman as far as because I'm
spraying water.
Oh, I'm a driver. Well, I was gonna say that, but now you really made me sound like a nerd. But you know, that's where the Hose Pros thing came from, because I started driving the fire truck, so pumping X amount of GPM, X amount of PSI, getting in the weeds with all that like firefighter stuff. I'm like, dude, I'm doing something. This is something similar. It's outside. I'm working with my hands. It's and yeah, it's just it's a service that I can offer. Like I could do this. And the more I looked into it, I was like, wow, it's not just a truck and a truck type thing. There's guys out there who have this down to a science. Right. They're using chemicals and not so much pressure.
There's a lot to it that makes it interesting enough.
So it was like enough of like a brain teaser. It kept me engaged. I'm like, I want to learn all about this.
You just got to make sure you don't overlap the two. Like, don't get confused with like thinking you're putting out a fire, kicking in windows when you're on the jobs, and then trying to pressure wash the outside while the building's on fire,
Well, what's funny is that my first thought was I'm just going to buy an old fire truck and I'm going to roll up. I'm going to hook up to a hydrant, and the house will be washed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, except for they won't have any windows or doors or, nothing left. Oh my
gosh. Yeah, but I mean, if you rigged a fire truck to be the Hose Pros truck and then named it, oh my gosh, it would be the biggest marketing thing ever.
I don't know if it's legal. Like, I was going to look into it, but like, I don't know.
You can buy a fire truck. I know you can.
I know you can buy them.
But use it for business.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's legal as long as it's not like one of those ladder trucks. You're not putting like an aerial ladder up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blocking streets, because it's a little bit like, I'm not impersonating a fireman because I am a fireman, but I'm not on duty, and now I have a fire truck with a ladder in the air, like down in the
Imagine how quick you could pressure wash a house.
Oh, it'd be awesome, dude. Yeah.
Do they have enough pressure out of the hose to like?
It's too much because of the weight. Oh, well, and it's not the pressure. It's not. Yeah, so it's not really about the pressure. It's about gallons per minute. So people out there who are listening to this, if we can buy a pressure washer, it's not about the pressure. They're all going to have more than enough pressure. You need volume of water. Well, water weighs. So pressure can do some damage, but if a fire truck, the amount 160 gallons per minute times, 8 pounds per gallon, you're just throwing weight at this freaking house. You know what I mean? So you're busting out windows. So, but I'm sure we can turn the pumps down.
Yeah. All right. So I want to end on something exciting.
All right.
You told me your most exciting and most fulfilling story that you as a firefighter. But do you have any stories of actual fires?
Yes, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I know.
I want to end on your favorite, I guess, firefighting story.
Okay. All right. So it's sort of a quick one, actually. So it was my first real fire that I got dispatched to, and
your first going out ever.
But I was in for a while because everyone's racing to get to these things, right? So you may not be first one there gets to pull the hose line and go in. So sometimes if you're too slow, which may not be your fault or whatever, just whatever. Someone pulls out in front of you, traffic, whatever. Then so you respond to a lot of these. So I'm going to all these. I'm going to a couple, and I'm seeing other people do what I want to be doing, right?
Yeah.
Well, we get dispatched to a fire that's not even in our first due area. We have an area that if it's in your first due, you should be the first one there. It's not in our first due. Well, the first due that I was in was right next to us, and that truck was on EMS call. And so we could be first due. And so I still have a red helmet, which I'm the rookie. I'm the new guy, right? And my driver had been in the department for a long time. And he's we're clearing up from a call. He's like, hey, there's a fire. That's us. And I'm amped. I'm finally we're going to get something. Because you hear the comments and stuff. Yeah. And the comments are yeah, this is really a fire. It's not smells something funny. It's believes that the person may still be in the house, potentially it's an apartment complex, and this is the middle of the day. They believe that the comments are saying it was a neighbor. They were beating on the door and the guy wasn't answering, so they thought maybe he had lit it off or something. They didn't know if he was in there, and so it started off crazy. And we're headed there, and just this sirens, the lights, all the noise. It was just it almost becomes intoxicating. So I'm amped up. And I look over at the guy who's like, been in a little bit longer than me, who's going to be going into this thing with me. I look at him and
he's taking a nap or something.
Well, you see this big, huge column of smoke, black smoke, and we're getting there. And the captain says, "Hey, we're going to be first on scene." We're going to be second on scene. So another engine ended up beating us there, and we're hearing them try to get into the apartment, and the door's so hot. It was on the second story. The door's so hot that they couldn't get in. They're having all these challenges because they didn't know also if it was they didn't know the nature of it. Like if it was an intentional arson job, there could be a threat there. So there's all this stuff going on. Are the cops there to help and this, that, and the other thing? And so there's just all this radio traffic. And all these comments coming in because everyone sees the smoke now. They're all starting to call, and it's just starting to get really busy. And I'm starting to get like a little amped up, And we pull up, and there is just black smoke pouring out of the second story balcony, and I see two ladder company guys up there, standing up there, as if they tried to go in, but it was just too hot. And all the while, we're being told that there might be someone in there. And my driver pulls the parking brake, and I look over to the guy. I got my little red helmet on. He's got his yellow one, and he's like, "Get ready, we're going to work." And at that point, I'm like, okay. So I get out the truck, and a lot of times you'll go up, and you'll sort of check things out. This is a fire. Okay, it's happening. I get out the truck.
I'm even getting amped up just sitting
Dude, I get out of the truck, and there's no, doubt about it. We're going to go do something. So I get out of the truck. I put my mask on, my hood on, my helmet on, my gloves on, turn my air on. I'm walking up. And I look around, and there's people who are still trying to figure out, what they're supposed to, what their role is. Well, I'm the new guy, so I'm thinking, we just go. Just go
in there and do the thing.
We just go help, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of frowned upon because it's a little unsafe and there's accountability and stuff.
Yeah.
And my captain's still trying to get his stuff. I'm just power walking up there because I'm like,
yeah,
this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And I see the ladder to the balcony, and the guys are up there, and they're waving the two firemen. They had went in to try to search for this guy because that was their task, was to search the apartment. So they didn't have a hose line. But it was so hot that as soon as they went in, they're like, we need a hose line because they need to knock some fire down to actually do the search, right? Well, ladder guys aren't supposed to do engine guys' work. That's our job, is to manage the hose line and put the fire out, right? And so here I am. I'm all ready to go because I'm super gung-ho. I'm at the base of this ladder, and they're like, I need a hose line now. And I look over at my guy who was like, hey, you ready to get to work? It's happening. And he's trying to sort of do the right thing and get permission and get assigned a task. And I look at him, and I look at the guys who are screaming for a hose line, and I'm masked up. All he can see is my fierce eyes. I'm ready, buddy. Give me something. Tell me to go. Mm-hmm. And I look at him. I look at them. I look at him. I look at them. And they keep going like this. They're right there, and someone runs the dry hose line over. They're getting ready to charge it. And I look at him finally a third time, and all he does is he just goes like that, just gives me a nod. And I grab his hose line, and I go up, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm the engine guy, they're ladder guys. They're going to charge this thing. I'm going to go in with them. And my captain's still, at this point, I'm not focused on him. I'm working with these guys. They're begging for a hose line. Mm-hmm. There's someone supposed to be in here. And I got a bright red helmet on, So I have this hose line, and one of the guys, not the officer, but the other ladder guy, I'm thinking I'm going to go up there. They're going to charge this, and I'm going to protect them, put the fire out, and do this. And he grabs the hose line, and I'm like, no, because this happened before. So I'd never been to a fire because someone else grabbed my hose line. I let them take it. So he grabs it, and I'm like, no. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to help. And I go in. So I personally am I'm helping these guys out. We're going to go in. And it is just hot. My ears are tingling. My shoulders are tingling. And it was just the academy. They teach you to get to one knee. And I didn't even see the orange stuff. All I saw was black smoke. And I felt all the tingling to get to one knee. And the ladder guy, he starts hitting. The whole kitchen was engulfed. Starts hitting the kitchen with the water. His officer crawls into this room that's still on fire looking for this dude, right? So it's just me and this kid or this other guy. So I bring some hose in, and I get down, And it's crazy because you see black smoke and then it stops. It's the thermal layer. And I can see all the way through the apartment out the back window. And I tap the guy on the shoulder thinking, like, I need to get this hose line back because I'm the engine guy and I want to do something here. Like, we're here to help. You know what I mean? So I was like, hey, I have hose here. What else do you need? And I'm thinking he's going to search the left because his captain searched right and not protect him with the hose line right. And it's a little chaotic at this time, right? But I'm looking through and he's like, there's someone in here, search left. And I'm like, and I look on the balcony and the guy who gave me the nod, because you're not supposed to go in without your crew members, I see a silhouette in the balcony. He said, it's like smoky. I see him. And I look at him and I give him a nod back. And I was like, okay. And I go down the left side of the hallway and I could see through. I see a window if I had to like bail, because this place is like still on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling down the hallway as we're taught. And so I stand up and I'm rolling through there quick. And my hand's coming across the wall and my hand just falls into the wall. Well, it was like a really short hallway. And I feel on the right side and it's like bifold doors. And then I feel on the left and it's another door and I open it and I get down and everything was like, it was like very automatic, like autopilot, because I'm fresh out of the academy. Like we had trained doing this stuff all the time. And I'm feeling a wall and I'm like, okay, that's the wall. And I'm feeling it and I'm like, okay, that's a sink. And I'm like, okay, I feel this thing. I'm like, okay, that's a toilet. And then I feel this and I'm like, I grab it and I'm like, that's an arm. And then, I feel up and there was a guy in the tub. There's a guy who lived there. And he was still breathing and he was a big dude. And so here I am, like my first fire, I'm in an apartment that's on fire and I find this guy and I'm like, okay, all right, we'll figure this out. So I peek my head out. I'm like, try to tell the other guys because everyone's on the radio because there's so much going on. And I'm like trying to get out on the radio to say, hey, I found a patient or I found a victim. And it's just like, I'm not getting through. And so then, I pull out like some webbing. I was like, I'm going to lift this guy up with this, I'm going to start getting him out. And he was just too big and he was in a tub. It's like, how do you get him out? How do you get him out of the tub? Right. And then I look back out. It felt like so fast, but so slow at the same time. So I look back out and the guy's like, they're still over here crawling around looking for the guy. And I'm like trying to like wave. I can't tell anyone anything and I'm not going to leave him now. And so I had a flashback of a video that another guy in our department did. He's like, does like jiu-jitsu and stuff of like an arm bar type thing where if all you have is an arm, you can grab it and like stand up and it's going to get. So I do that. Like that came to my mind in that moment because I'm like, how do I get this guy up? I'm able to get him up out of the tub enough where his hips are higher than the edge, and I sort of fall back into the bathroom with him. So I get this guy out of the tub with just one arm, and then it's a small bathroom, and I look around the corner and they're still doing their thing, and I'm like, I can't leave this guy. I at least got to get him to where they can see me and him, and that's what I ended up doing. I ended up grabbing him, and like I said, he was probably like 250 maybe. And that's a lot of weight, especially when we're wearing all that stuff. And so I get him just out of the door, and then I start to get around the corner, and I see the guys, and I wave over, and then the two ladder guys who were initially there come over, and it took like 3 or 4 of us to get him out, of the apartment, got him to the ambulance, and unfortunately he lived, but unfortunately he had succumbed to his injuries about 2 weeks later. So, but that was my first fire, and I come out of this thing, and I finally see my captain, and it's a rare occasion. So here's the funny part. I mentioned my driver of 30 years, right? He was like, good job. He said, I hope you remember this, and I hope, he said, good job, but the rest of your career is pretty much over because this is going to be the best call you ever had. And I was like, well, hopefully not, Charlie. Because it's so rare that you're actually in that situation. So for me, it was my best fire, not just because it was my first, but it's like, it's not Chicago Fire, man. We're not out there even going to fires every day. And you're not going to one where you're finding people and, and rescuing people. I mean, and it does happen, but it just, and we have 600 people and all of us want that opportunity. And he was like, hey man, you got you got the opportunity of a lifetime, you know, and other people have done it. But it's just so few and far between. And so, and having the red helmet on and the way that it went down, I remember afterwards, it was just sort of like this weird feeling because like I was a new guy. I was like, did I make the right decisions? Cause like, you know, these other guys, but I kept going back to these other guys were screaming, you know, for help, all with the same mission in mind to go try to find this dude.
You just were the first one to really do it.
Yeah, but I'm also the new guy.
You had the energy to do it. You were looking more than they were, honestly.
Well, no, they did a good job, and they started at the fire because honestly, if the guy he was pretty. That's the reason I think he survived as long as he did. Yeah, was that the bathroom door was shut. Which is a big
they were probably trying to follow protocol more directly.
Well, it's more of experience. Like you start where the fire's at because if someone is injured and sort of work your way out in a sense, unless it's obvious, like, hey, there's reports of someone in a bedroom and that's the bedroom. Or there's reports of someone in the bathroom and that's the bathroom. But, you know, I could see their logic. Like, and you're going to search from one side out. Yeah. So he just chose that way, and I was just told to go the other way.
That's insane. The first fire.
Yeah. Wow. It is funny, and these guys, the fire department guys, are funny, man, because like there's different types of humor, and you know they'll give you a little bit of an attaboy, but at the same time they'll rib you over things too. So it's like, man, like it was an enjoyable experience for me, like my first fire and everything, but it was also there's a huge like part. It was sad, man. Like this was someone's father, someone's son. And the guy didn't make it. Yeah. And that's also another weird thing that people don't think about a lot is like we do this because it's like a calling. It's like something that we love to do. But at the same time, it's like someone's worst day. And so it's hard because it's like a mix of emotions. Like it's like, dude, we finally got a fire. We've trained for years for this. We've sacrificed so much, gave up our businesses, deal with all this other stress and trauma, all this other stuff. And we finally got a fire, and it's hard not to honestly smile. And it's not because we're happy that someone's house burnt down. It's because we've also sacrificed, exposed ourselves to so much to be able to do the one thing that we love. That doesn't happen very often. And sometimes you got to like, you know, still put yourself in check. Like, hey, it's weird saying, yeah, that was an awesome fire. Like for me to say that because it was still at someone else's detriment.
Tragedy at the same time.
It's someone else's to someone else's detriment. You know what I mean?
But you have to stay fired up to an extent.
You gotta stay fired up, man.
It's like how the SEALs are and people in the military. A lot of times it's like they're doing sometimes some awful things, but they have to stay motivated at what the job is. You know, I think that's a big part of it. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing, you know, your journey all the way through. Like I was inspired when I was first working with you, and hopefully people that are, you know, thinking about getting into fire have some real raw perspective now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it is still the best damn job in the world.
Best damn job.
It is, man. And if you're curious, check it out and you'll see that it is. So
man,
hey man, I got an application for you, man. Yeah, dude. Come do a ride along, bro. That'd be good.
Jeff might be out of here tomorrow. Cool, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Pleasure.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.